Well, thank you, Minister Ellis, for those very important messages, and once again can I thank our State Emergency Service personnel for the tremendous work that they are doing under very trying circumstances, away from their family on this Father's Day, and so thank you on behalf of all Tasmanians for the work that they are doing, again under very trying circumstances. Can I say also to SES and Tas Networks employees, up to 34,000 households were without power. It peaked last night, getting that down now under 30,000 households, again in very trying conditions, so thank you. I've reached out to the mayors of the West Coast, the Derwent Valley and indeed Central Highlands, and spoken to individual mayors there, and of course they are some of the regions most impacted, and have assured local mayors that we are ready for emergency assistance grants provided to councils once we get through the situation, to ensure that any infrastructure damage, and there's no doubt going to be quite some damage when it comes to the fallen trees and indeed roads as well, that we'll be working in partnership with them and supporting our local councils and all those communities that are affected. I also want to say thank you to the federal government. Minister McAllister reached out to Minister Ellis today. I've reached out to the Prime Minister, who has responded, and the Prime Minister's also thanked SES personnel, and indeed thinking of those in very difficult circumstances right now. We've also got our emergency assistance grants for individuals that are now available in affected areas, particularly the Derwent Valley and those that are isolated by floods. Central Highlands and the Derwent Valley, grants of up to $250 for individuals and $1,000 for families that are affected. And of course, thank you to all people in the community that are supporting those that are affected by what are very trying circumstances. We'll have some information later on today around school closures as well. That is also being worked through. At this stage, it's not anticipated that there'll be any widespread school closures, and we expect schools to be open tomorrow. There may be some individual circumstances depending on damages to school, power outages, and indeed school bus transport routes that have been disrupted that may impact on school closures, but we expect to have that information out as soon as possible, and likely late this afternoon or early this evening. So once again, thank you to all our SES personnel, our Tas Networks workers who are out there connecting power back up and also making communities safe and safer for people that are affected.
There are obviously some areas where it seems more mild, but how important is it to stay alert?
Well, as Minister Ellis said, please download the Tas Alert app. Keep in very close contact, obviously, with the ABC radio and other communication methods. It is vitally important. Circumstances can change very quickly. An unexpected weather event, heavy rains that may well unexpected and come very quickly as well. As we've known from personal experience and lived experience over the course of the last decade, severe flooding in 2011, 2016, and right here where we are in Deloraine right now, the highest floods on record in 2022, and rivers can rise very rapidly and very quickly, so it's very important to stay alert and ensure that you access that information via the Tas Alert app.
What would you say to all those people who are without power and don't know how long it's going to be until it can be restored?
Well, again, thank you to our Tas Networks employees who have worked day in, day out effectively. Again, peak outages, some 34,000 households. They're working very hard to get power reconnected as soon as possible. Bearing in mind, these are very dangerous conditions for our linesmen and women as they work through reconnecting, and so as soon as possible. And we're also in very close contact quite clearly with Telstra as well particularly around ensuring that we have maximum coverage when it comes to 000, for example, and there are some outages there, which is very concerning, and I well understand and appreciate that, but again, very close contact with Telstra in terms of reconnecting that 000 services and phone lines.
Overall, do you think flood mitigation infrastructure around the state is up to scratch and will be able to stand the wild weather we've been having?
Well, over the course of the last couple of decades, there's been significant investment when it comes to flood levees, for example, Launceston, Longford, to name just two. But more recently, in the Latrobe area, Latrobe-Railton area, when it comes to flood levees there, of course, Latrobe was particularly affected in 2016 and in 2022 as well. And considerable investment there, some $20 million plus investment, and a great combination between federal, state and local government in terms of that investment. And at this particular time, Latrobe community do not look like there will be the impacts of those previous times, but those investments are very important.
Are you saying that emergency
Grants are open for certain areas. Was it Derwent Valley and where else?
Yeah, Central Highlands and the Derwent Valley, again, $250 for individuals and up to $1,000 for families as well. And there's also been connections made with those that provide emergency food relief, including Loaves and Fishes and Food Bank and others that ensure that those that have lost food through power outages, obviously, and to need that assistance, those organisations will be there willing to help.
Cool. And I guess Minister Ellis might be. So, I mean, I don't know how much you can tell us about the damage you're aware of around the state.
Yeah, damage is significant around the state, particularly when it comes to wild wind gusts affecting trees, properties, power lines and other infrastructure. Flooding, as it increases, will likely impact other parts of the infrastructure system, including road networks and homes. So our emergency services will be able to provide ongoing operational updates as those important scans are done in our communities. Obviously, the first priority at the moment is making sure that people are safe. Our SES crews are out door knocking in locations that are potentially likely to see major and significant flooding over the coming days, but we'll continue to be assessing that damage as it goes on. Needless to say, though, the damage bill is likely to be significant.
And what sort of support is there, I guess, in the lead up? Like, you know, like you said, there's the door knocking going on. What support is there for people to get ready? Yeah,
that's right. So many Tasmanians will have already developed a flood emergency plan, and particularly if they live in typically flood-prone communities, and there's a significant range of support available for others as well. There's emergency evacuation centres being stood up in certain locations, including at New Norfolk. We encourage Tasmanians, as they're considering plans to leave, to also consider contacting family and friends if there are opportunities to stay with them as well. We know too that there are many Tasmanians who maybe not impacted by flooding but impacted by power outages. We know this. I know this personally myself, and staying with family and friends if they've got young children or other vulnerable members of their household. So look to make those plans. Tasmanians are often at their best in difficult situations like this, and so please reach out to your fellow Tasmanians, your family, friends, neighbours and others who will be keen to support you and assist.